To find our word of the week this week, we are looking at how the residents of Nazareth, more specifically the people who attended the synagogue at Nazareth, described Jesus. And to see that, we're going to look at Mark chapter 6, specifically in verse 3, but let us begin with verses 1 and 2 from the ESV. He went away from there and came to his hometown, and his disciples followed him. And on the Sabbath he began to teach in the synagogue. And many who heard him were astonished, saying, "Where did this man get these things? What is the wisdom given to him? How are such mighty works done by his hands?" And that brings us to verse 3. "Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. So before we move on, I just want to take a quick look at Matthew's account of this in chapter 13, verse 55a. "Is not this the carpenter's son?" So notice that Matthew has the folks at the synagogue refer to Jesus not as the carpenter, but as the carpenter's son. They also don't say the carpenter Joseph's son, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. "Is not his mother called Mary?" So there are a couple of manuscripts of Mark 6:3 that echo this, where it says, "Is not this the carpenter's son and the son of Mary?" But the majority of the Mark manuscripts attest to it being, "Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary?" Now finally, take a look at Luke 4:22b, where Luke has them saying, "And they said, 'Is not this Joseph's son?'" So why does this matter? Luke, a Gentile writing to Gentiles, is comfortable using Joseph's name. But if we look at Matthew and Mark, what we find is that after the childhood of Jesus, the name Joseph doesn't get used, or at least it's very rare. Because the tradition, the Jewish tradition, was that unless a person was highly esteemed and important to the story of the chosen people, that once they passed away, their names wouldn't be used in writing or largely in speech. So here, at 30 years old, Jesus stands on his own as the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of, etc., etc. But for Luke, that's not an issue because he doesn't follow that tradition. He may not even be fully cognizant of that tradition. But moving on, let's dig into the treasure trove that we have in Mark chapter 6, verse 3. "Uk hutos estin ho tekton, ho huios tes Marias." So uk estin, estin is he, she, or it is, and uk negates it. He, she, or it is not, but it's in a question. So here we have, "Is not hutos," this man or this person, hotekton, the carpenter? Is not this the carpenter? So, don't we know this guy who just preached and expounded on the scripture in a magnificent and powerful way? Isn't this guy the carpenter that we've all known from our town here? Hohuios tes Marias, the son of Mary, hohuios the son, and then in the genitive, tes Marias, a possessive of Mary. It's actually a genitive of relation. So they want to know, is this guy not hotekton, the carpenter? That's our word of the week, hotekton. And it does mean the carpenter, but it means the carpenter because working with wood was the family business. And if it were used about something else, like sculpture or masonry or pottery, we could still use the same word because it means the skilled craftsman. It means a skilled worker in a particular field. So if the medium is wood, then the carpenter. The next half of or the next quarter of the verse, I should say, kai adelphos, and the brother. So adelphos is singular, and the brother, and then we get a string of 4 proper names in the genitive. Again, genitives of relation or possession, right? The brother Jacobu of Jacob, kai Iosetos of Joseph, and of Joseph, kai Judah, and of Judah, kai Simonos, and of Simon. So, how do they identify Jesus after his appearance at the synagogue? They identify him by his trade. Is not this the carpenter? By his mother, whom they know, and the son of Mary, and then by 4 brothers who are presumed living at the time of the event, and they know by name also, right? So they know this guy because of his trade, they know his mother, they know his 4 brothers. So let's go on and look at the next, the third quarter of the verse. Kai uk esin hyadelphai autu hode pros hemas. So just like we had uk estin, here we get it in the plural, uk esin, and kai uk esin, and are not hyadelphai autu, his sisters, plural, hyadelphai, plural. Notice the sisters don't get named, but they are, there are at least 2 of them because it's plural. Hode pros hemas, here before us. Are not his sisters here before us? So he not only has at least 4 brothers, 4 living brothers, he also has at least 2 sisters who are present, who are part of the synagogue community and are also known to the people there. And then finally, the last quarter, kai escandalizanto en auto. And they were scandalized in the imperfect tense, and they were scandalized in him or by him. They were caused to stumble. What is the nature of this stumbling? What is their objection? What are they struggling with? The people who are scandalized, who are struggling, who are offended by his exalted preaching, tell us that the problem here is familiarity. We know this guy. Isn't this guy our local carpenter? Isn't his mom Mary? Don't we know his 4 living brothers? Don't we know his sisters? We expect important people to come from someplace else. We don't expect profundity from the guy that we bought our chairs and table from. And that's what they say. The trouble that we're having with this guy is that he is hotecton. He's the carpenter. He's not a learned rabbi. We know his mom. We know his brothers. We know his sisters. Fascinating stuff. So our word of the week, hotecton, the skilled craftsman, when applied to a woodworker, the carpenter. I hope that was good for you. If it was, please leave me some feedback in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. And until next time, Karas Kai Rene Humin, grace and peace to you.